You guys got to see a few colors at the event. Can you just make any kind of just general remarks about the colors?
So color was actually very important to me, not so much the actual color itself, but if you've lived in Florida for any period of time, you know the sun just likes to take every ounce of color out of a vehicle. And I have found that if I have a vehicle that has flake and that extra coating on it, it makes a significant difference in the longevity of the lifespan of the paint job on the vehicle. So for me, when I got there, we went into the paint section. I was like, yes! I was like, what? Which one has flake and which one has the extra flake and which one's just going to last the longest in the sun? And have you guys been taking a look at this? Because it's important.
Awesome.
And they, yes, absolutely. Here are the colors that have flake. Here are the colors that don't. Silver happened to have flake in it. So I was like, yes, that is what I'm staying with then.
Okay. You mentioned, Tracy, in our questions that you live in this environment that eats everything alive. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about in terms of like what Rivian is doing to help with that situation?
Yes. So I went up to one of the key employees kind of in the paint area. I think he was supervisor or higher. And I told him, I said, when I put a hammer outside, it looks like a rusted nail 2 days later. And I would like to know that if you are making an outdoor vehicle, and I am very much looking forward to taking this thing to the beach and surfing until I can't stand up anymore, that it's not going to be a rust bucket 2 years after I've been doing this. And he really talked through with me just the kind of what they put the vehicle through, the salt water that they put on it, and they watch, for corrosion and all of that jazz. So that was the first time I had heard of a company really going in that excess of the vehicle to make sure that if it is outdoors, it's not going to look like a rust bucket 2 years later.
Awesome.
And he said it's doing phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
That's awesome.
So Tracy, they actually put the vehicles through saltwater, like corrosion type testing?
Yes, they do.
Wow.
That's wild.
I mean, I'm excited about the e-coat process and hopefully how that's going to help prevent corrosion. But to hear that they actually tested in that way is pretty cool too. And I know salt's an issue for people up north as well, right?
Oh yeah.
When roads get salted. So anyway.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Around here in the Midwest and Central Illinois, it's like rust just towards the bottom of every car from that salt. Nowhere else, just towards the bottom where the mud flaps should be. But that's phenomenal for all of like the hate out there from the, kind of not Rivian community, but, haters going to be haters, but about how Rivian delay. Those of us who have followed the company closely know that the amount of miles and testing and research, real world environments that they've put this through, I just can't think of another company that's done this kind of stuff. And we've heard other stories the past week or two about how they are really so obsessed with talking to end users and putting, like even from the Amazon vans, which we'll get to later, like we have to talk to the drivers. We don't care what the specs are. Where's the drivers? We got to talk to them. I'll kick it to you, Jimmy, if you have anything, and it can be a new question or anything on the list. What are you thinking of right now?
Oh man, I mean, I kind of want to go back to colors. I'm not gonna lie to you because you guys both know that colors was my one thing that I needed to know. And I know everybody else is wanting to know more. Was there any color? Obviously, you said you were a silver and white color car person. You switched to green, then you immediately switched back to silver. Was there any other color that you saw that, short of the fleck and the flake in the paint, was there any other color that we were like, wow, like maybe I could give this one a second look, or that you would consider? Because again, I mean, like I said, everybody wants to see these colors. Can you just, I guess my question is, all that to say, can you just maybe describe some of the other colors? Were they as close to the configurator, or were they just extremely far off? I don't know. I don't know what that question
Jimmy,
is. I don't. That question is so all over the place.
All I want to say, Jimmy, is I think you did great, and I think this is a great question. No, I'm serious because Tracy, everyone wants to know this, and so go for it. I won't re-sum up anything that he said, but I'm glad that you asked it, Jimmy, because I kind of wanted to go back to that, but I was too scared, too chicken, and so way to go. Thank you.
So with the colors, the thoughts that I can give on that is, what's hard with the configurator is you don't really get an idea of how the colors accentuate the curves of the vehicle. Oh. And that's what you lose on the configurator. So when I was able to see it in person and I saw the blue, I wasn't really interested in the blue, but when I saw it in person, I was like, wow, they really did a phenomenal job on this. I personally will not be going for the blue because they didn't put flake on it, if I remember correctly. So also the darker colors, I didn't really look at the darker colors too much because if I want an oven, then I'll just go buy an oven from the grocery store. In Florida, it's just really, black vehicles dark vehicles.
Hello from Texas,
yeah, a little challenging. They're a little hard. So I really kept an eye on the lighter colors, and for me, what I noticed was just really a difference in how it accentuates the curves of the vehicle. Also, I am not a professional interior design type person, but one of the other 9 people, they are, and she was talking towards, well, this color's great, and I love the interior, but when you bring the two together, it's not that great. Mm-hmm. Or bring this color and this interior together, and oh my gosh, it just looks amazing. She really has an eye for that. I don't. I said, oh, okay, that's good to know. Check, I'll write it down. So,
yep.
The interior that I would like is I think it's the ocean blue, and I think there were some questions as to, well, is it more tan? It's not. It has definitely a grayish feel to it, but it's very light and very comfortable inside the truck. Mm-hmm. I was also worried about it getting dirty, and I asked, we kind of had a roundtable session, and I asked RJ, I was like, so, I'm going to be sanding and dirting, and, if you've ever seen the red clay down in Georgia or down in Alabama, it likes to stick to anything and everything. Is there any kind of special cleaning things I need to be aware of to help keep a lighter interior taken care of? And he said, no, it's solid. It's ready for it. You're going to clean it just like you would clean another vehicle. And that was kind of a breath of fresh air for me personally. Mm-hmm. I know I got off a tangent from colors, but
no, that's perfect.
We just said at the same time, it's literally perfect. Those are questions that come up, and perfect answer. So in this Ocean Coast, which is so appropriate for where you're at, you definitely need to get Ocean Coast. I can tell you that for interior, 100%. And I actually have that configured in mine because I love the look of it. But it's same. Mine's a little bit different. 3 kids. Like, how do I go about cleaning this with 3 kids? And is it going to be? Is it going to really get through that over years and years? I'm liking the black now too, but. Those are great answers. Did you notice, and the way you describe the colors is very articulate as far as certain colors accentuating the curves, which I love. The other thing that we've noticed is that the colors, at least some of them, seem to be so dynamic based on lighting conditions. Did you see that in person? Like as far as what light it was in, and it just like is a chameleon? And can you speak into that?
So there was one day where it was kind of light outside and you could see the colors, and that was really nice. And then there was a day that it was just really overcast, and they did look different to me. In kind of overcast, darker conditions, it kind of had a dullness feel to me. Mm-hmm. But in sunlight, it was very vibrant. Honestly, one of the things I'm worried about is with my job, sometimes there's areas that I have to go into where it's best not to have a vehicle that stands out and is all frilly and shiny, or else you can kind of be a target. Mm-hmm. For this, the color was very vibrant. You could feel it, you'd recognize it going down the road, but it still kept kind of that quality to it where it wasn't in your face, if that makes sense.
You know what? It does kind of make sense. And some of the descriptions that we've heard of the colors are like rich or deep or robust and not like bright and flashy necessarily, right?
Right. That's correct.
Yeah.
Perfect. Way to go, Skylar.
No hot paints.
Yeah.
Just Chick-fil-A yellow.
So did you guys?
Well,
Go ahead.
I would say even the yellow is it's unique and it's really beautiful looking, but it's still not in your face like is it the Camaro that has that really bright yellow on it that,
Yeah.
you know, if you touch anybody else's car, it also shows on the next car. It wasn't that at all. It was just they did good. I can't say enough. They did really good picking each of the colors.
Yeah. Skylar, you got a follow-up?
No, I was just about to ask if she saw the yellow and what she thought of it. The other one that I'm curious about is Red Canyon, and just general impressions of that one in person.
So Red Canyon, do you guys remember the Chevy Cobalt and the burnt orange that was on it?
I hate burnt orange.
It's a darker version of that. So you see very much the red, but it's not that in your face red. It's definitely toned down with. I felt like I could see a touch of orange in it. So it was a much darker version of the burnt orange.
Yeah, more like a brick red. Yeah, but not quite.
Yeah, almost like a brick red.
Well, almost like a canyon red, Kyle.
Yeah, it's kind of like canyon red, maybe. Yeah. That's awesome. You know, colors, we could go on forever, and I don't want to shove us off here, but it's as far as the pre-order community, we come into it so much, and I think I've changed my mind on what I'm sold on 4 times. Like LCAT, because at the beginning I did a little Photoshop work of the R1S and kind of like this grayish blue, steely blue kind of color, and that's like one of my favorite colors in general. So LCAP kind of speaks to that, and I saw some pictures lately and I'm like, oh, this is much lighter blue, and I've always wanted to have that blue undertone. But then sometimes I'm like, white's it. I love the clean, contrasty look. It gets hot in Illinois, believe it or not. And then limestone I fell in love with, and then launch green I fell in love with, and I'm a mess. But maybe
you were a mess anyway.
Yeah, I know.
What I did, so I was asked quite a few times throughout my visit, what color am I going to land on? What color am I going to land on? And I kind of kept saying, you know, I don't know right now. I don't know right now. On the very last day, they had the R1Ts line up in the front of the factory, and you were supposed to get in one to go back to the hotel or to go back to the airport. And what I decided to do before I even looked outside, I said, okay, I'm going to go outside and I'm going to look at the lineup, and the first one that I just happen to gravitate towards is the direction that I'm going to go. And so I walked out the front door, I looked at all 4 of them, and then instantly I just stayed on the silver one. And I was like, yep, that's the direction I'm going. And I went over there and I said, hey, you know, would you mind taking a photo or 2 of me in the truck and next to the truck? And just as I was going through that process, my gut said, yep, this is right. This is the one for me.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So dartboard. So just print them all out. Close your eyes, throw a dart, and good luck.
Yeah.
I think that the good news here is that from what we've heard, like, it's hard to go wrong with a color. You know, they're all really good. Yeah. So maybe that's like take a little pressure off pre-order community. They're all going to be great.